We are finally going to have an episode, guys. I am super excited. Welcome to Millennial Girls. I'm Racquel, the blonde one, the unicorn. I like glitter, if you can't tell with the amount that I put on my eyes today. I got a little excited, but you know, here in quarantine, you might as well go balls to the wall with makeup, right, Natasha?
Yes, exactly. I'm Natasha. I'm the brunette. And I would thought you were going to say that you took a shower in glitter at this point, but I guess we'll wait for that one for later.
I was going to say at this point in like 2 episodes, I'll probably be covered with glitter and God knows what. I'll be digging into my EDC Orlando glitter kit. So don't you guys worry, it's coming. We're really excited about this. We've been talking about doing a podcast for as long as we've pretty much known each other, which has been since October. We're just ready to give you our thoughts. I think we should explain, Natasha, why we picked the name Millennial Girls, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. So we chose to call ourselves Millennial Girls because, yes, we are millennials, if you didn't figure it out already.
You were born in the 90s.
Yes, I was born in 1990, and you were?
I'm 93. So I was ready right in the Britney Spears, NSYNC, Christina, Pink, all of that. I grew up with all of those people, and I am so happy about it.
I'm so happy about it. Yeah, well, speaking of NSYNC, I think we have a little story to tell.
I do. So basically, NSYNC was my first concert, and Natasha, it was hers as well. And we're 2 years apart. So I remember every vivid. I don't know. I can't do that.
3. You asked me one day, you were like, what was your first concert? And I was like, it was NSYNC. And you were like, me too. And I was like, wait, weren't you like basically a newborn when NSYNC was like first starting?
Well, it wasn't their first tour. I don't remember which one it was, but it was, I believe it was the second tour.
Oh, so, that's why. I went to the first tour.
Okay. So mine was the second tour. That's why. Yes, I would have literally been a newborn.
So you were a No Strings Attached.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
I have a t-shirt of that. I have a t-shirt from the concert somewhere.
I was the first, which I think that was a self-titled album, I think. The one that came with I Want You Back on it. It's a self-titled, isn't it? Or is it not? Now we gotta look that up. Do you guys know what the name of the first NSYNC album was? I'm pretty sure it was self-titled.
I have the shirt, so I have to, because Target was selling them in the men's department, so I got it and did a little cutaroo because I needed it in my life. I don't remember. I just know that I was the No Strings Attached tour, and it was a really crazy story because we had tickets to be in a box. My dad had snagged them from work back in the day. Obviously, he was like, my children need to witness NSYNC live. Right. And we got into the box. It was center of the BB&T Center, which if you're in Florida, you know where that is. And I ended up working at the BB&T Center for the Florida Panthers later on in life, so full circle moment. Anyways, we got into the box. All of the lighting equipment was in there, and everyone was really mad because they were like, how were we supposed to see the concert? I mean, it was like, there was no view at this point.
Right.
Completely blocked. There was obviously a miscommunication between their team and the lighting department and production and if it was even Ticketmaster at the time, and they said, you know, we're so sorry about this. We have these tickets for you, and just follow us. Escorted down to the 7th row. I remember what I wore. Everything about that night. I remember singing every single word. My sister was really little. She was 4 or 5 at the time.
So who went? It was you, your sister, your dad.
And my mom.
And your mom.
So it was the 4 of us. So I was 7. She was 4. She was a baby. She was a little chicken nugget at the time. I was wearing, you know, the Britney Spears scrunchies, like that material, and her Hit Me Baby One More Time, the fuzzy furry ones.
Yes, that you got like a new shirt in that material just like yesterday.
Yes, I had a crop top that was pink or purple, and then my cargo pink or purple pants, and I was living my best life. But I remember that young being like, I want to be in this industry. And I always had that thought. I went through actually the 2009 Jonas Brothers tour. And I remember...
We're gonna talk about the Jonas Brothers in another
That's
episode.
A whole nother episode. But I remember being at that show as well and just being like, I remember how much joy it brought them and electricity of them being on stage and how much happiness everyone in the room felt. And I wanted to work in the industry. And by that time is when I really got into TRL, and I wanted to host, be a VJ. So I kind of just remember always being like, I need to be in this industry immediately.
Right.
So it's crazy that live music has such an influence on you from a young age. And I've ran into people, I don't know about you, who have like not even gone to a concert for the first time until they were like 18.
Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
insane to me.
That's
I mean,
and I think that plays a role with why we are where we are today, because my mom was very into music. I mean, both of my parents were very into music. So my parents split up like when I was a wee little lad. And so when that whole thing happened, like my dad ended up having like some of my mom's CDs, and so like I had like CDs all over the place, like my house, my dad's, my mom's, and we'd have like those CD bookcases like with the slips so you could like put them in, and we'd have like hundreds of them, you know, even in the car, because then it's like, oh, let me change the CD in the car. Yes, hopefully I'm not aging myself too much, but this is what we did in the 90s.
I mean, millennials did CDs in the 90s, you know?
So my first concert was also in sync, and again, I was like one of the younger people in the crowd because I went with my mom. It was just my mom and I didn't have the Racquel family affair in the 7th row, but still I was like super excited because we had all the CDs, and at that time in sync and a lot of, you know, the pop artists at the time were appearing a lot on Disney Channel. I remember they do like their tours, they do like one, you know, one of the episodes, not episode, like a full like show, like of the one of the shows of the tour, they would air it on Disney Channel at that time. I mean, now I really don't know what they do with the music anymore, but so we'd see like NSYNC on there, we'd see Britney Spears and everything. And so this was the first tour, the first album of NSYNC, and they came out in these spacesuits, and I just thought it was so cool because they looked like astronauts, and they like came out on stage, and I wasn't like super close to the stage, but I was just like, it was just the whole experience for the first time. It was just like, whoa, like I even have goosebumps now thinking about it. And so one of the things I was telling Racquel is like, all the girls in the crowd were like minimum like 13, 14, if not, they were like more like the 18 like year old girls in the crowd. So I was really young. And all the girls are like, whoa, like screaming at the top of their lungs.
Screaming their head off.
And so I'm sitting there like looking around, and like, again, like I wasn't like someone that goes with the crowd and like what everybody else does, but like I was so excited myself that like I just wanted to scream with them too. So in my mind it was like, I don't care about my mom, like what she thinks, because my mom wasn't screaming, but I started screaming with the girls too. And then afterwards,
as you should.
no, but it's like funny because like it, especially me, like I was like, I've always been like a little bit more introverted, as we'll talk about that later, but like I've just been more that way. So for me to like scream in the middle of the thing, it was like kind of like unheard of. So she would not let that down. Like every time, like we went, I think the next concert I went to was the Lilith Fair at the time. Look it up. It's basically like all female artists. They like come together and they do this whole concert. This is back in San Diego, by the way. I'm from San Diego, California. And both of us live in South Florida, by the way.
Yes.
But yes, so this was all happening in San Diego. Like Sheryl Crow, I remember Maya, Sarah McLachlan, like they were all at Dixie Chicks too. They were all at this. This was like my second concert. So we went with a bunch of my mom's girlfriends, and of course they were, I don't know, at the time maybe in their 30s or something. And everybody, my mom goes, oh, let's see if Natasha screams at this concert. Because she was screaming at the NSYNC concert, and I was like, Mom! Like I was so embarrassed that she was like calling me out. But yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was the first tour, and I don't remember what I was wearing, but I remember what NSYNC was wearing, and I was just like, it was really cool for me. I don't know if you know this, or I don't know if I told you, but Britney Spears actually opened up on that tour. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, okay, so this is before Britney became famous, because again, it was NSYNC's first tour, so they were like right at that same time, like it was like very, very close.
That Pink opened up for my tour.
Did she really?
I think.
That's so funny.
Yes.
I saw Pink at, oh my gosh, Wango Tango in LA. Yeah. Anyways,
Tango.
it was like, it's a bunch of artists that show up. We went to a lot of those concerts where it would be like a lineup of different artists, and you know.
Wango Tango, if you don't know what that is kind of like those Jingle Ball concerts that iHeart throws, or any of the stations throw, where they have a bunch of the artists at one time, and it's everything you need in your life. But continue.
I saw a lot of artists that way, which is cool, because I guess it's kind of like a festival, but you know, in a concert setting. So Britney Spears opened up, but I didn't know who she was at the time. And since I was really young, like I didn't really remember that. I didn't care and I wanted to see NSYNC. And I was very like, you know, you have your little like crushes on the NSYNC guys or whatever. And like I
Who
didn't
was
care
your
about the
favorite?
girl. When I first started, I liked Lance.
Oh my God. Stop it.
Oh, I like the fruitcake. It's all good.
It's okay. There's going to be a lot of girls out there who love Lance. I still love Lance. He's great.
I liked Lance for a long time, and then I was like, I'm sorry, I like hated blondes. Like I was like not about blonde guys like for the longest time.
Lance was blonde.
I know. So like I liked him for like a little bit, but then I like jumped on the JC train. Like that's like kind of where. So like when we got to like Backstreet Boys, like Kevin was my favorite. Like I was like, ew, Aaron and Nick Carter and all the like that was not my.
That's so funny because I'm the opposite. I loved JC. He was my favorite, but now I love blonde guys. So it's so interesting. I don't know. I didn't like Justin for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I think because everyone loved Justin and I was like, well, I like JC. You know, didn't want to be with everyone else because of course.
I was the same way.
Yeah.
I was the same way. Like even I mean sorry, but like the curls that Justin had with the platinum blonde hair, like it was just not happening.
It was a look. It was a vibe.
He got cuter the older he got.
Yeah, after NSYNC broke up and it was just Justin on his own, I was like, oh, different situation.
Oh, totally. And I remember when he would remember those Kid Bop, is it Kid Bop or like those
Kids
magazines Bop. Where like they'd come with a poster in the middle. So you'd always be like excited to see like which artist was going to be in the middle or whatever, and then I'd always like put them out on my wall.
Even though we're only a couple years apart, I feel like it still made a difference because I was still very young when NSYNC was in the magazine. So middle school, that's when the Jonas Brothers, that was like more of my vibe because that's when they were in the magazines and that's when we had the pullouts and all that stuff. So it's so funny how just a couple of years make a difference with the pop culture aspect of things.
Right, of course. And even though we're both millennials, we still, a lot of our experiences overlap. But then, yeah, of course, you have that little gap. So like when I was just getting into high school when you got into Jonas Brothers. And so for me, it was like too peppy, I was too cool for that. So I was like into, like I remember, I think it was Nick. No, not Nick. What's the like darker haired guy's name again?
They all have dark hair.
Joe
and Kevin.
Joe had like kind of like the emo look when he was young.
Yes, the swooshy hair.
He had the hair like down and like black and kind of like flat iron. So
those
like
were the Camp Rock days.
I liked those, but like with My Chemical Romance. So I was like going the rock side of things.
I loved it. No, I mean, it's so funny that we grew up with these things, and I have a lot of friends who are in the music industry now, and we just laugh about so many of these things because we were at concerts growing up and you're losing your mind and you're, you know, literally losing your shit at these concerts over these people. Even, I'm one of the biggest Britney Spears fans you can ever imagine. If you couldn't tell, you know, hi. I wanted to be her, like, not currently. I love you, Brit, but we gotta get you some help.
Not the Britney of today.
Still love you, boo, but we'll figure it out one day. But, I mean, it's just so crazy how you go from that and then you transition into the music industry and you make it your life. And I feel like that is something that really influenced us growing up, music heavily, especially because we both danced as well. So being able for it to come full circle, I mean, it's crazy that my first concert was at the BB&T Center. I ended up hosting hockey games for 18,000 people in the same places that my favorite artists performed. I mean, I would still get the craziest feelings for me would be, this happened one of my last concerts I went to when I still worked there. I was on the floor and it was a packed concert. It was Muse, actually, super random. And
oh my God, I still haven't seen Muse live and I've been dying to see them live.
So insane. I remember being in the middle of the pit and just looking around and being like, goosebumps. Holy crap, this is how many people I talk in front of and how many people you connect with. I mean, now we're both on the radio, so it's just crazy how many people you connect with in our industry, whether it be fans or listeners or just other people in the industry. I mean, we were at the Hard Rock, and we were both coming out of the bathroom in Hard Rock in Hollywood. Shout out to them. And we were coming out of the bathroom, and we weren't expecting someone to be like, "You guys are the girls from Revolution," and we both were like, "Whoa!" Like someone was legitimately staring at us, and I mean, for you, it's different. This is your kind of your first taste of being a personality, so. Right. I've kind of been stopped in things before, and you're the girl from the Panthers, you're the girl from the Panthers, but having someone recognize us from being just our voices, basically, is a completely different aspect. It's really, really cool to even someone took the time out of their day to even recognize us, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, and the interesting thing too is so growing up with us, right? We didn't have social media. Like I jumped onto social media and Facebook. Well, first it was MySpace in middle school, right? So I was like 13 years old when I started doing MySpace. And then I jumped into Facebook in high school. And I know obviously depending on what generation you're from, of course you had a different experience, but so for us, it was like anybody that we heard on the radio, we always imagined what they looked like, but we never knew what they looked like. There was never a face to the name. And that was like it almost made it more fun because there was no social media. And so, of course, in our case, even though people might recognize us by our voice because they hear us every day or whatever it might be, you kind of have a face to a name, especially if you follow us on social, right? So if you're following the radio station that we're speaking from, and you see us, then it's easier. But that was something that we grew up with that I remember, like, I'd go to, in your case, like the Jingle Ball, I'd go to, like, the concerts from back home in San Diego, and then, like, the radio personality would get on stage, and you'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's...
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's her name? Like, something the Latina, and, like, J Crew, whatever, and I forget their names, but they were, like, all Mexican somehow, so, it's crazy. You'd be like, oh... I didn't think he was like this. I'm sorry, but you'd be like, I didn't think he was so fat. Or I didn't think she was like, with brown hair. I thought she was blonde, or you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how it's changed.
No, it is because I remember I interned at a radio station in college, and I remembered this was right when social media was kind of starting to get big. Instagram was kind of blowing up, and I went and I interned for one of the biggest radio station down here, and my obviously interview was with the on-air personalities, and it was just so mind-boggling to me to finally see what they looked like. And I remember Nina, I love her so much, she is so beautiful, and I just remember I would stare at her and be like, you're so pretty, like please do videos or something, please, because everyone needs to see you. But it's crazy now because I've had so many people say, oh, you and Natasha, you don't have faces for radio, because that's kind of the old time thing. Like, you should be on TV. Your face for radio means you're pretty or whatever. And thank you to the people who say that. But I always say, well, now it's all full. You got to be able to digital and TV and on air, and you never know how they're going to connect. They do.
Rewind. What the comments that people are saying that we're too pretty for radio or too ugly for radio?
Too pretty, so you don't have a face for radio.
Okay,
so you should be on.
People are saying that people that are on air need to be ugly.
Well, no, that's like a lot of
ugly or fat.
I mean, just that's for some reason the whole like joke. That's always just the running joke, just from back in the day, and you're just like, why? But I appreciate. Thank you to those people who have said that. But this is kind of off topic. But if you want to get into our field of work, media in any capacity, you got to be able to do it all. Whether you just want to be in front of the mic, behind the mic, a producer, you got to be able to kind of do anything at a minute's notice, literally. But I think it's really, I'm gonna ask you this question because I know this story, but I don't know the full story. We've kind of touched on it before. So we both grew up competitively dancing, so that has obviously helped us, be in the field we are in today, and we each did acting and singing, and we're artsy people. I'm sure you guys are too. Lots of different things. Unicorn sparkles and glitter on my end of things. Not so much as much for her, but it's okay.
I like sparkles.
Yes. As I have my light up unicorn behind me, if you could see it.
Right.
You auditioned. Well, you didn't-ish. You were going to.
I ended up at a casting call.
Yes. Tell the story.
We were like going back in time a little bit, right? So I don't know what it was that we were talking about the other day that I was like, I started remembering that I showed up to a casting call, and like she was the one that pointed out, like, wait, you went to a casting call, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what it's called. Like, it sounds stupid because of course I know what a casting call is, but like I didn't put two and two together, like looking back, because again, this happened when I was, I don't know, 13 years old. So I went to some kind of like convention center thing that was set up in San Diego. And again, San Diego's like, you know, max like a 2-hour drive to Los Angeles where everything's happening. So I go, and I remember it was a casting call for Disney. And
I literally can't. Like, I can't.
At that time, I was very into Lizzie McGuire and, like, you know, watching, like, they had a lot of, like, Disney original films and stuff like that. So that was what was going on at the time. And I went with my mom, and I went with this boy named Nick, or Nicholas. And we were both, again, like 13. My mom took us, but we had to, like, fake our story for some reason, because I guess, like, Nick wanted to audition too, and I wanted to audition, but like you have to go with a parent, and like his mom couldn't come or something. So both of us go, and we are like have to pretend that my mom is like his aunt or his tia. And so I was like the worst. Like I was told not to lie my whole life, like be like an honest person. Meanwhile, I'm going to like do an acting audition, right? So I show up, and we had the whole story down. Like, okay, you got to like fake like you guys are cousins and all this stuff. And like, I guess we could kind of pass as cousins because he has like black hair and I had brown hair. I don't know, whatever. So we go up to the table. So like, it's a big room, right? Like people are like sitting or like walking around and stuff. And then there's tables like at the front of the room. And so the people that are doing the casting call or like you're auditioning in front of, they're at each table. So we go up to the table, and I just like, I think I like blanked out or something. Like I didn't talk because
Natasha,
I was so nervous to lie.
You could have been
so nervous to lie that like we were both like telling different stories or something.
You could have been the next Hannah Montana, and you didn't do it.
It's Great. Crazy. So basically we get to the table. Nick is like, he's supposed to say, like I'm supposed to say, and I chicken out. I totally chicken out. Like I was like, I didn't want to do the audition anymore because like he wasn't gonna do it. So like I didn't want to do it, and I didn't do it. So like I could have been on Disney Channel. Or, like, I could have been, like, Selena Gomez at this point. But here we are.
I have no words. I literally have no words. You could have been the next Hannah Montana.
I think, like, I know that you would have loved to be Hannah Montana.
I thought I was Hannah Montana, first of all.
I don't know who I wanted to be. I remember I wanted to just get, like, a part or do something. And at that time, I'm pretty positive it was pre-Selena Gomez times, but if they were, like, looking in San Diego, they must have been looking for, like, a Mexican girl or, like, somebody, like, Latin, because there's a lot of Mexicans in San Diego or, like, right next to the border. And I'm pretty sure that's when they found Selena. It had to have been one of those casting calls.
Or I wonder...
And then they, like, filmed and...
What's that dance movie? Doesn't it take place in San Diego or something like that?
It's Glendale, though, isn't it? I think it's Glendale because they do the competitions and stuff out there.
I don't remember.
Glendale's
what was it called?
like right next to LA.
It's not Bring It. It's not Bring It On, but it's the one where she's like, I'm a dancer, not a cheerleader, and I was like, you go sis, same. That's it. Me too.
I felt the same way.
You could have been in that too. Look what you did. See,
yeah, she was a Latin girl.
They all were. See, I don't have any stories like that, but I did have a terrible audition experience. That when my best friend Cassie listens to this, she is going to be taken immediately back because it was so traumatizing. So basically, I was signed to an agency my senior year of high school. So I got signed for acting, dancing, modeling. And we live an hour, sometimes an hour and a half away from Miami. All the castings are in Miami. So me and my best friend, our parents would take turns picking us up. We would go to these castings, and it was for a Sundrop soda commercial. It was the Drop It Like It's Hot, that one from a couple years ago. This was from 2011. It was the craziest casting because they had like 15 different parts they were casting for. And I was 18 at the time, but I looked so young. So I was still in the teen like phase of the agency. So this was, which I looked very, very young. I still look very young without makeup on. Everyone's like 16. I'm like, no. I appreciate it. But we went to this casting, and again, I remember what I was wearing. I have like the worst memory of all time. I've had 3 concussions, but I remember stuff like what I was wearing.
No big deal. I need to ask you about those concussions.
Another episode. Anyway, I was partnered with this kid, whoever, who didn't speak English. So,
Okay.
and we had to just improv.
So like you guys, okay, wait, back up. So you and the guy that you have to audition with have to like have a full on dialogue, and he doesn't speak English, but he's auditioning at this place.
Yes, because we're in Miami, and at the time they were like bilingual. If you don't speak English, if you don't, it was a huge just cattle casting call. So it was like hours upon hours upon hours we were there. It was so miserable. They're still like this to this day. Cattle calls in Miami, it's horrible.
When you say cattle call, that means like a lot of people.
Yeah,
at the
just
same time.
they basically broadly, they're like they want you to. Doesn't matter your race, your gender, your age, your height. It's not specific at all. So it's just a gajillion people just there to basically sit there for hours upon hours upon hours. And then they ended up changing the whole concept of the commercial. Like finally when the commercial came out, I was like, this is not at all what they casted for, but
Of
sure.
course. So what happened with you and the Latin guy?
No, we couldn't speak to each other, so we were just miming. But they wanted dialogue.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you guys were miming in front of them, or like you were practicing amongst yourself?
No, we didn't have time to practice, basically. Or if we did, it was very little. And he was like trying to explain to me that he did not speak English well. And I was just like, okay.
So fail? What the hell? Like, what is that?
So I wasted all these hours and it was just the worst thing ever. We were the first ones to go. And I was honestly like, that was one of the last auditions I pretty much. Are you doing the Macarena for a reason?
I'm miming.
The Macarena.
Not the Macarena.
Actually, the Macarena is now huge on TikTok, guys. So it's coming back. But yeah, that was my horrible audition experience. And honestly, it still haunts me in my dreams. And Cassie, you are going to listen to this and just cry and pee in your pants because she is the one who was with me. And she still brings it up to this day. Kind of like your mom bringing up the NSYNC experience, screaming. That's my embarrassing just audition. What was I supposed to do? He really didn't speak English. So I mean at that point it's kind of just like it's a wash.
I mean, I would have just like spoken to myself at that point. Like, hey, like play both roles. Like you're like left and then you go right and you go left.
Hey. Yeah. I mean, it was just
oh my god.
I was over it. But yeah, it was something, that's for sure. It was very interesting.
You guys should have just done like a bilingual dialogue. So you just talk in English and he speaks in Spanish to you, and you guys have like your conversation could not match at all, but just like fake it.
Well, and I was young, right? That was one of I hadn't been on any really auditions for speaking or commercial. I'd only been on dance. So
right.
For that to be the first one is just very like, what do you do in that? Now I'd be like, move over, buddy. Like,
right, of course.
I'm doing it by myself.
Well, actually, that's another reason why I'm sure I chickened out too with the Disney thing, because I had never acted before. Like, I would act by myself like a weirdo at home, and I have a whole story about me and transcribing an entire film script, but I'll tell you guys about it later. Anyways, I would act by myself at home. I would like cast myself as roles and all this stuff. Like I'd like do impersonations and everything.
Same.
But like never in front of a person, never in front of anyone. So the only time that I did perform in front of people was dancing too. So it was definitely out of my comfort zone. Anything acting or singing or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go to school for musical theater and I was taking singing lessons and all that stuff. And I have zero stage fright when it comes to speaking, dancing, acting. Like, I do not care. If you've ever met me, you know I really don't care. I have the most severe stage fright with singing. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm too, like, if I hit a bad note, like, ever since I was younger, I did singing, like, camps, and I would do solos, and I would have panic attacks before I would have to sing by myself.
Interesting.
It's a psyche thing for sure, but whatever. I could talk in front of 18,000 people, 20,000 people, so it doesn't matter at this point, but it's so crazy that is something that is like my kryptonite. It's so weird.
And now you just reminded me, I have so many stories, and your stories are reminding me of my stories, because I have like a Wizard of Oz story in kindergarten, and I have singing and piano stories, and I have, we're definitely gonna dive deep into all this fun stuff. And I can't wait till we have guests on too, because like, especially with like the DJs that might come on, like, to have conversations about this kind of stuff, like even school, I'm so curious to know like what their experiences were like.
It's kind of gonna be like therapy for everyone, guys. This is what you
It's
can
like,
expect.
it's like Martin Garrix. I know you did really well in school and you were a straight A student, but did you enter your science fair? Like, does that exist in Amsterdam? Like these are the questions that we need to ask.
Did you? First of all, I just remembered that I got third place or something in the county because I did a dragonfly project.
Oh God!
I like won my school's science fair, and I literally only did it because every fifth grade class had to, and then I found out mine was like on display at one and got picked to be in the. I am not. Science is not my thing, guys. Sure, you could tell.
I really want to know like what your dragonfly project.
I have it still. My parents have never gotten rid of it because they were so proud. They were like, this thing won a trophy and a ribbon.
That's so nuts to me that you won a science fair thing, and I also won third place in my science fair, and then it moved to the count. No,
See,
I was one of the winners of the science fair for my school, and then I got third place in San Diego County for my invention. It's
what did
so
you
crazy.
invent?
I invented the teddy bear flashlight. And no, it's not like some like porno toy because it kind of sounds like it.
I mean, hey guys.
I'm like, wait, where's my feather? Where's Pumpkin's feather? Let me ring it in front of the microphone. I have Pumpkin's like toy here. Yes, it's
Pumpkin
Pumpkin's
is her
toy.
cat.
We would not have a feather to play with a bell on it, but yeah, it's.
It's her cat.
Oh my goodness, Pumpkin, the meatloaf.
The meatloaf.
Anyways, oh my goodness.
So what was your invention? How did this? I totally forgot about science fairs.
So I was in 7th grade. All of us had to invent something, and I invented the teddy bear flashlight. And so what is that? Basically, I mean, mine was like the ghetto version of the teddy bear flashlight. So, I cut the eyes out of the teddy bear, and yeah, I did like all sorts of weird.
Okay.
I sewed the eyes together back and all this stuff. Anyways, it was supposed to be like something that like a kid could hold at night, so like they can sleep with it. But then if they're scared of the dark, instead of having like the glow lights and stuff like attached to your walls, like you can turn on your teddy bear flashlight that you're holding. And then now I'm like, I don't have this like trademarked or anything.
I was gonna say,
so
you
don't
better
steal my
patent
idea.
this. Patent this right now.
Anyways, this is like 20 years old at this point, but you turn on your teddy bear flashlight, and it is kind of creepy because the lights like come out of the eyes. So like since I like invented it and like sewed it and everything, it was like a little scary, but like in my mind I was like, maybe, when like a manufacturer gets their hands on this, they can like make the eyes like not look creepy. But yeah, so they turn on, and then you can walk around with your bear and it'll like light up in front of you.
I'm envisioning this right now, and it's kind of reminding me like the Tickle Me Elmo. A lot of people liked those. I was freaked out by them, but some kids might like it,
Furbies.
Oh, hell no. My Yai still has two, and they freak me.
They talk to each
out.
other.
I
like
don't-
in the middle of
they
the
would
night,
turn
they would
on.
talk to each other.
Yes! It was so scary. It would scare the living life out of me.
They were scary.
Not for me. I was like, I'll stick to the Barbie dolls. Thanks. Get the Furbies out of my room.
I'll make you a unicorn flashlight or whatever if you need it.
Yes, I do. I need it. We should take it whenever music festivals are allowed to happen again. I'll bring it with me and be
Could
like,
you
move
imagine?
out of my way.
Oh, people would love that. Oh my god, this is a great idea. To like take them to festivals, people would buy that shit. If they, because then eventually, like, so this is what I cheated on. So then in high school, I think it was like my freshman or sophomore year, I forget. We had to do an invention again, and I was like, what? Why? Like,
Did you do
I
the
already
same
did
one?
my 7th grade invention. Yeah, of course I did. I was like, they don't know what I did in middle school. So I did my teddy bear flashlight again, and I just upgraded it, and I was like, the paws are gonna glow in the dark too.
Yeah, they will. And they did.
EDC.
And
Festivals.
we should sell them when EDC and festivals
We're gonna
can
call them
come back.
Millennial Girls, and they're gonna be stuffed animals. That's it. We have an online store coming soon. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. I mean, maybe we do.
Dude,
Anyway.
online store. I've been saying that we need to like recreate stuff from like the 90s to the millennium. So like, let's say like Clueless. She can be the blonde. I'll be the brunette. I know she's not alive anymore. Rest in peace, Brittany Murphy. But We can like play those roles and do them all for like our social media pictures, like photo shoots and stuff. Like recreate like the t-shirts that they have and everything, because it's like all in now anyway. That would be so much fun, and then we can have whatever we recreate on our online store.
Yes. Oh, guys, you're literally hearing our ideas and dreams in real time. So now you know how
session.
Now you know how the inside of our brains are filled with lots of 90s things, glitter and like sparkles. But all right, I think that we need to kind of reel it back in for a quick second. I'm gonna say, how did you ever think you were gonna end up where you did right now, when you were, let's say, 7, 8, 9, 10?
7, 8, 9, 10. I never thought I would be a radio host, particularly. I always had jumped in and out of different creative fields. So at a certain point, I wanted to be a VJ as well. So what's a VJ? If you don't know, it's a video DJ, right? So you introduce music videos and stuff like that, which is what everybody was doing on MTV at the time when we were watching it and we were really into TRL. I didn't necessarily want to be Carson Daly on TRL. I think Racquel did.
Oh, I was like, I'm her. I'm him. I'm her. I'm her. No, but Vanessa Lachey,
right,
his wife. They met on TRL. Anyway, she was a VJ. I wanted to be that person. That's what I wanted to be. Like, I told my mom when I was 10, I'm going to be this person. And
I felt the same way. So Vanessa at that time, what was her last name at that time? She was Vanessa. Who was she? I don't remember. I wanted to be like Vanessa too, and then I was like, of course, in my mind, I was like, I'm better, and who the hell am I? I was a kid at that time, like probably like going through puberty or something. Like nobody wants to see that, but it was either that or, of course, I think both of us wanted to, do backup dancing and stuff like that, with anybody doing something on stage, because again, I feel like it was just part of our generation. Most of my friends actually didn't have those dreams and aspirations, and they weren't into MTV and TRL as much as I was.
Same.
So I was more into music, but it was the thing of the time. So I remember the first time I visited New York, and I was standing outside of the studio, and I'm like, oh my God, like I wanted to go in so bad, and they had like the shop downstairs, and I was like really into it. And then when I got to college, community college, before I transferred to university, and that's when I moved to Miami, I had been telling a friend of mine to try to do what the radio hosts were doing, because we would watch them on YouTube interviewing like Trey Songz, and yes, Trey Songz. Racquel has a Trey Songz story.
Trey Songz.
I was like, I wouldn't put myself forward. I'd like suggest my friends to do this stuff. So I don't know. Okay. I don't know why, but like I ended up like, ultimately here I am. So like, again, like I've always kind of like dipped my toes, but I just never really, I guess, like saw myself on air for a radio station particularly. It was just always something having to do with music.
It's so crazy. I always knew, I said from day one, I was either going to be a professional dancer or I was going to be some sort of VJ, DJ, radio personality, camera, TV personality.
I was devastated when TRL finished.
I was so devastated about TRL being over, and that's when everything kind of transitioned to YouTube, right? So when I got to college, I was watching all these artists do interviews with whoever, and I was so annoyed. I would literally call my friends and be like, this is so annoying. Why does this interview, they suck? And one of my best friends, Courtney, was like, why don't you start your own YouTube channel? And I was like, oh. And I had already interned at iHeart in Miami, so I was like, okay, I have some experience. I've done other things as well, so I kind of can put that in my fluffy pitch. So we stayed up all night and looked up everyone's emails who was coming into concert within from Miami to Orlando, and then finally I got my first reply back, yes, and it was for Chris Allen, who had won American Idol a couple years previous. And so I still have the video on my phone when I got the email. Courtney, thank you for recording that, because now I have that for forever. Yeah, I cried. It's crazy, but I didn't even have a camera. I didn't have a name for the YouTube channel. And the interview was horrible. It's on the internet, of course. Nothing ever leaves. But it got like over 2,000 views because he had such a big fan base. So I think that was definitely the moment where I was like, oh, this actually can happen. It's a very realistic goal. So
I have a major question for you.
Yes. What is it?
So even if it's in regards to this story or just anything in your career, Was this something that, like, that reassurance of getting the yes from an American Idol, was he the winner?
Mm-hmm.
Or like
Yes.
contestant? Getting the reassurance from an American Idol winner and then getting the 2,000 views when you had never started anything before. Was this like a moment of confirmation for what you're doing? Or did you need that? Or did you already have that from before?
No, I totally needed that. Obviously, anything from before was just kind of like, okay, you're in the right direction. You're working for this tennis tournament in Delray Beach. They're letting you do on-camera interviews. You're doing some announcements in game. You're interning at Y100. You're like, that was my favorite station I grew up listening to. Small little victories were happening, but that was like the first major. That was my first interview ever. That was my first with someone who actually was relevant and at the time and is still relevant to this day, won a national competition. So the fact that his publicist was like, sure, Racquel, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. It's insane. And now, even when we do these interviews with people, we tell their management, hey, can you retweet and support social and do all this? And that wasn't even done for them. He just did it because he's such a nice person. He's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. And I remember too that after the interview, they were like, oh, do you have tickets to the show? And we were like, no, like we were fully intended on going back home. And we drove up to Orlando. We stayed at her cousin's house. We were going to drive back that night. And they were like, no, we'll put you on the list for the show. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. Like I wasn't even 21, I don't think. But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was definitely the first I can do this. This is totally what you're supposed to be doing moment. And I want to interview him again because I think it would be so funny to re-interview him and
that'd be so much fun. Like now that you're telling the story.
Yeah, leaps and bounds from where it was before. So it's definitely Chris Allen, if you're listening or watching. We're doing this. We're doing that interview again. But Round two.
I know. I want him to come on now because I'm like, I want you to tell your story and like the reaction and how.
Yeah. I have to send you guys.
How many years ago was this?
Ooh, this was a long time ago. This was maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
5?
Yeah, 5. I was a senior in college, so 5 years ago. So, that's crazy. It's definitely. I didn't necessarily see myself where I am, but I definitely knew it was going to be within this realm of the music and entertainment industry, whether it was in sports or music or entertainment or lifestyle. I knew ever since I was little, like I said, when I was at NSYNC 7 years old, I knew I wanted to feel that feeling of excitement and that almost high you feel when you're at a concert every day. So I think it's really interesting how things have worked out for the both of us for sure. And I think this conversation is also going to be something very interesting to talk to about with our exciting guests we're going to have coming on, because a lot of them obviously are going to be either musicians or in the industry because of the world we work in. The radio station we work for is an EDM radio station, so we have lots of fun, crazy friends who are in it. I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation to have with our fun guests we are going to have on our podcast, because the radio station we work for is an EDM station, so we have lots of friends who are DJs now or who are in the industry, the music industry, or influencers. We're going to have a lot of different people on for you guys. We're going to have lots of fun guests. There's going to be lots of interesting topics we're talking about, and if you guys have any input or suggestions or something you want us to talk about, please let us know on social media. Millennial_girls for Instagram, Facebook Millennial Girls. You can tweet us. Our personals are also on there as well. So thank you guys for listening and check us out. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and, of course, save the podcast. So we're really excited for you to be on this journey with us, and we will.
We're ready for you. We are the Millennial Girls. We should be like...
Yes, we are the Millennial Girls.
Instead of peace signs up, do like... I was going to say instead of pause up, peace signs up. Peace signs up, glitters and unicorn horns.
Shooting out of this right now. So we will catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening.